Alzheimer's disease is the progressive loss of a person's ability to think, to remember, to know who they are or who their family is. The present health system, however, has no recent or future thoughts about how to treat this condition. They rely very much on the use of drugs. But perhaps drugs are not the real answer for treating this condition. Is there another answer? Yes, there is. There's another approach which tries to encourage the body to heal and repair itself in a more natural way. Let me explain by reviewing 4 of the major causes of neurological degeneration. The first is decreased blood flow. Blood carries oxygen and it carries the glucose, which supports the ability of the brain to basically function. The brain is a very high energy computer, and any decrease in either the oxygen or glucose to it causes it to dysfunction. It may malfunction temporarily, as when we suffer from low blood sugar, feel a little bit lightheaded or woozy, or if this becomes a more constant situation, we end up with more severe and permanent brain loss. The next issue is nutrition. Now, with decreased blood flow, of course, you just get less of the nutrients that the brain needs. But as the brain gets older, so does the rest of the body. As our GI tract ages, it loses its ability to digest and absorb the nutrients that are in our food supplies. The result is that although the brain may be getting adequate amount of blood flow or diminished blood flow, the blood itself carries less of the important nutrients to the whole body itself, and especially to the brain, which is so fussy about being fed properly and on time. The third issue that we have to deal with is toxins, the environmental toxins that we all live with every day of our life. We know that lead, mercury, cadmium, PCBs, DDTs, they've all been part of our environment ever since we have been living on Earth. However, all of these toxins tend to accumulate in our body over periods of time, especially in the fatty tissue. Interestingly enough, our brain and rest of the nervous system is made up approximately 25% of myelin. Myelin is a form of fat which acts as the insulator between all the millions and millions of nerve cells. Therefore, any toxic material that ends up in fatty tissue has a high probability of disrupting normal brain and neurological function. The fourth issue is natural aging, whatever that is. And yet you would say we can't do very much about aging, but yes, I think we can. And this is going to be one of the most interesting and exciting areas of treating Alzheimer's disease. So how to treat this progressive chronic condition? Well, let's direct our treatments towards the underlying causes. Number 1 is the diminished amount of blood flow. Hyperbaric oxygen is a form of treatment that's been around for many years, in which the patient is put in a special chamber in which the oxygen pressure is raised, the result being that it forces more oxygen into the body. It has been found that this is very beneficial in many kinds of conditions, especially in certain neurological diseases. The next step of treatment is nutrition. Now, as we mentioned, as we get older, we don't absorb all of the nutrients properly, and yet for many years, a standard form of treatment has been a nutritional IV. Given a proper balance of the specific nutrients that are deficient in an intravenous form, gets these critical elements into the body, directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the gut and any possible problems of absorption. The results are often dramatic and very rapid in terms of helping the body in general and specifically the brain improve its function. Detox everybody's talking about detox, but this office has been medically involved in a specific type of detox for the last 15 years. This is done through an intravenous form known as chelation, which very specifically removes elements such as lead, mercury, aluminum, and other toxifying elements from the body. It's found to be very effective. It was developed by the U.S. government and is FDA approved, and it can remove metals and toxic elements in ways that no other type of oral treatment can do. The result of proper detoxification, especially heavy metals, is a significant improvement in the immune system as well as the neurological system. And finally, number 4, the question of aging, and this is where stem cells come into play. You've all heard of stem cells, I am sure. We've been using stem cells in our office for over the last 4 years to stimulate normal progressive healing of ligaments, joints, and tendons. The patients often benefiting in better mobility and less pain, and often no longer requiring joint replacement. Stem cells are also being found to be able to benefit almost all organ systems in the body, improving COPD, liver function, kidney function, and of course, brain function. This is all in the early experimental area, and yet early results are very, very encouraging. So which one of these 4 established beneficial treatments should we use? Why not use all 4? Each has its own special benefit and purpose. By doing this, hyperbaric oxygen, intravenous nutrition, detoxification, and stem cells, we feel that there is a very, very high probability that Alzheimer's disease can be controlled, prevented, and even improved. Well, that's an awful lot of information to digest and absorb. Each case is very different. Each person responds differently, and we're talking about the development of some very new and exciting ideas to treat this condition. I'm Dr. Neil Raff. If you would call my office and set up a time for a free 15-minute consultation with me, I'd be very happy to discuss the particulars of the situation and see if we can be of any significant help to you. Thank you very much for listening.